What's up, everybody? It's your boy Adam. Got my hair did. Oh, feels good. Tell you. When it's hot outside, it really starts to creep in. I set a reminder. In fact, I'm going to probably do it while I talk to you guys. So yeah, I set a reminder every 6 weeks, or I try to. Yesterday being the 19th, so 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, right there. Right? Is that right? The 19th. 1, 2, 3, 6 weeks, right there. Haircut time. What the fuck? Hold on, this is Google changed their fucking calendar shit. Okay. Alright. Anyway, yeah. Haircut reminder. 6 weeks. I always try to set a reminder in my calendar. Because if I don't, I just go on to I go on my merry way and I just forget to think about figuring out where to go get a haircut. Or when, and, fitting it into my routine. And then the 6 weeks goes by. I mean, it starts to bother me before 6 weeks is up. But after that 6 week mark, I'm going crazy. It's like a beaver pelt wrapped around my head. It's like one of those fur skin hats that they used to wear back in the 1800s or whatever. And it gets hot and just uncomfortable. And even before I got wings sprouting out the side of my hair, or out the side of my head, air brakes. If I took my helmet off, I'd lose 6 miles an hour on my bicycle rides. Even with that, even before that happens, it starts to drive me crazy. And so that's why I always get it down. I just cut it off, take it off. I can't stand that anymore. And so, it's all right. I mean, I didn't try to make it look good. This girl, oh my God, I don't even think I was there 5 minutes. I went to Supercuts. So here I am at the bakery. I'm like, I have to get my hair cut today. All the haircut places close at 6, but I get out of there at 4:30. That means I could probably be somewhere at 5. But normally it takes like 15 minutes to do a dude's haircut, especially when they're just doing a razor fade and a chop up top. So I called this one salon that the man, they got all these manly salons now. Kind of like the sports clips where it's Hooters girls go cut hair, and you get a titty in the face, and you get to watch sports on TV and all this other crap. I guess if you pay them extra, you get a happy ending. I don't know, but I went there one time and I was like, man, this is just too weird. It's too. I mean, yeah, I like having a boobie in my face, or two. But it's like going to Hooters. Like, the food's not that good. You're going there to look at titties and ass. And it's like, I don't know. It's like, I'd rather go to a good place to eat. Sorry. So it's just, I don't know. And why do I want to go pay twice as much to get my hair cut so I can get a couple titties in the face? Like, it's just not worth it. So the manly salon, there's a bunch, there's barbershops, whatever. Most of these barbershops I've been to, they charge $50 to cut your hair. I don't want to pay $50. And then you got a tip. So you're out like $60 for the same hairdo. And so I'm like, all right. I did this one manly salon that's across the street from where I work at the bakery. I think they charge like 30 something bucks. I think it comes to like, I don't even remember, but it was reasonable compared to the other ones. And you can grab a couple, they got a bar, so when you're waiting, they'll give you a beer. They'll give you like 2, I'm sure if you went there all the time, You get more, but you get at least 2 beers while you're getting your hair did. You can sit there and just get a nice little buzz before you get on your bike and go home. I guess. I mean, that's not bad. They got some decent brews there, some hoppy buds. And, but it's just, I don't know, it's still. But I ended up calling them because they were right across the street from where I work, but nobody answered the phone. And I'm like, well, they must be either busy or don't give a shit or whatever. I mean, if there's like 2 people working and they're both cutting hair, I can see why they wouldn't just go answer the phone. And so I was like, well, I got to get this done today. So I decided there was just down the road, there was like a Supercuts right next door to Great Clips, which is like a Supercuts copycat. And so I'm like, I got a really good chance if I go down there of being able to walk in and get my hair cut. And I get down there at 5 o'clock on the dot. I'm walking to Supercuts, it's empty. I'm like, perfect. Can I get my hair cut? Yeah, come on in. 5 minutes later, it's done. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? I don't even remember sitting in the chair and all of a sudden my hair's done. This girl was fast. I think she was like using the razor with one hand and the scissors with the other. I'm just sitting in the chair and all of a sudden she's like, here, you want to look at the back? I'm like, what the fuck just happened? It's done. And it was like 5:05. I'm like, no. She was fat. Like her hands were moving so fast. It would give a guy a fantasy right there. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy fast. I've never had a haircut that fast. I mean, she was like, just like, zip, 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 done. She's like, okay, what do you want? Can I do anything? Can I get your eyebrows? I'm like, yeah. I was like, holy shit, it's like 5:10, I'm back on my bike. Get out of here. It wasn't even like, I couldn't have even done my own hair that fast using one of them vacuum cleaner things with the razor blades on it, the Flowbee back in the day. You know, remember that thing on TV? Yeah, no, I couldn't even cut my own hair that fast. I couldn't cut my own hair that fast if I was shaving my head bald. It was crazy. And I like the haircut from the other girl at Supercuts that I used to walk over to when I lived in the tool shed. But for speed and convenience, it was fine. And I don't think it looks that bad at all. But I just think she does a little better. Like, I'm just attention to detail. I notice little things. So, this girl was just doing speed. It was like a speed run. It was like, how fast can I get this motherfucker in and out so I can go back to watching videos on YouTube? Then that's what it was, man. But whatever, I got it done and it felt so good to get my hair. Oh, it's like the temperature of my skull goes down by 75 degrees. Just as soon as that razor goes, and it's like, whoo. It's like my head is wrapped in an insulated blanket. Crazy. So other than that, just a regular old day at the bakery. One interesting thing at the bakery, we got a new person working there, but she worked there before, back in the day, before I started working there, so she's working there again. I don't know. I don't even know how the topic of conversation came up, but she said something about, well, I'm from Pittsburgh, so I don't really, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, really? I'm from Pittsburgh. Because I feel like I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, more than Western New York. I grew up outside of Rochester. The day I turned 18 and graduated high school, see ya! I was gone. I got the fuck out of there. I went to Pittsburgh to go to art school. where I pretty much lived my life ever since. There was about a year to a year and a half where I went back to live in Western New York, but that's where I worked and slept. On Friday at 5, I would go straight from Rochester to Pittsburgh on Fridays, get down there at like 9 o'clock at night, get back to New York to sleep at like midnight Sunday night. Sometimes I'd take Mondays off, come back Monday night at midnight, and I would do this week after week. I would go to Pittsburgh like 4 times a month just to go hang out with my daughter for a day or two, and also just spend. I was going there for my daughter so I could see her and spend time with her, but I was a side benefit was getting to hang out with my friends on the weekends and do other things, and that's where I lived. That's where other than work and sleep, I was in Pittsburgh. So from the time I was, 18 years old until the FBI barged into my house with a tank, I lived in Pittsburgh. And so even when I was an hour outside of Pittsburgh, I still considered myself living in Pittsburgh, because even though I lived out in Amish farm country, anytime I had to do anything, I went to Pittsburgh. It wasn't like, it wasn't a big deal to get in the car and go. So we were talking about Pittsburgh for a while, and I was like, holy crap, that's weird. Very strange coincidence there. But I got a coworker and we can talk about, I was like, so where's the Pittsburgh Steelers bar in Houston? Just like funny things like that. Because the Pittsburgh Steelers, the best football team that ever in the history of the NFL, they're the only team that can go to an away game and it feels like a home game. All the other teams don't get to do that, because every city in America has a Pittsburgh Steelers fan base and a Pittsburgh Steelers bar where all the Steelers fans go and hang out. And so but I'll just leave it at that. That was pretty much, I'm not a big sports ball guy. I don't even remember I don't know if I watched the Super Bowl. I feel like I might have. I don't even remember watching the Buffalo Bills playoff game where they lost to the Chiefs. I think I was sitting in front of my computer and doing work, and it was on in the background, and I'd check in every now and then, but I wasn't like watching it. Maybe I did, I don't know though. I know I saw some of it, especially towards the end, but I really don't even remember watching the Super Bowl. I think it's just because I didn't give a fuck about it. I don't care that much about sports ball. But sports wheels, or big wheels, riding up and down mountains on a big wheel, that's fine. I've been watching the Tour de France. It's you get more bang for your buck. Imagine if the Super Bowl was a game that lasted the whole month of July. and it was 5 hours a day. That's the Super Bowl of cycling. And I think that kicks the shit out of the Super Bowl. So yeah, I got back from my 25-mile ride home to sit in a chair and watch people ride bikes. Picked up where I left off on stage 9. I believe today is Sunday, July 20th. So yesterday, I guess it would have been stage 14. I think it was stage 14 yesterday, and I started watching stage 9 when I got home. Part of stage 9. I'd already watched some of it. Stage 9 was an interesting race because it's another one of them flat ones where there's almost no hills at all. There were no hill climb points, so the guy in the polka dot jersey had all he had to do was cross the finish line without getting kicked out of the race. and he gets to keep his polka dot jersey for another day. And every day you wear one of those special jerseys, you're getting paid. You're getting bonuses, cash prizes, money, bitches, all that. You're getting it all. So you're just as much of a celebrity, especially in European countries and countries that care about cycling. You're just as much of a celebrity as like running as like a linebacker in an NFL team. You're not as famous as the quarterback. But like, let's talk about like the Kansas City Chiefs. What's his name? The quarterback, Mahomes. He's more famous than what's the other guy's name? Hold on, I'll figure this out. That's how much I give a fuck. Oh, Travis Kelce. And the only reason Travis Kelce is famous is because he's banging Taylor Swift. He's Taylor Swift's next ex-boyfriend. So, I thought she was going to dump his ass after he lost the Super Bowl because she only dates winners. But turns out he must have something in the bank to keep her interested for a while. But, I mean, she's riding around in private jets. You know, the best Travis Kelce could do without her would be first class. You know, he can't buy a jet. So you're like the Travis Kelce of cycling if you're wearing the polka dot jersey that day. You're like kind of like you're like, nobody remembers Thurman Thomas from the Buffalo Bills unless you're from Buffalo. And even when the Buffalo Bills were going to the Super Bowl, it was Jim Kelly, Jim Kelly, Jim Kelly. Well, Thurman Thomas was the next guy. He was the running back, and he was a good running back. Not as famous as O.J. Simpson, the running back, but for very different reasons. Thurman Thomas didn't kill his wife and then get away with it and then write a book about, well, if I killed my wife, this is how I would have done it. And then robbed a casino and went to prison anyway. So that's why he wasn't as famous as the other running back. But same thing with the current Buffalo Bills. Everybody knows what's the fucking guy's name. Josh Allen. That's right, Josh Allen. Thinking about the Bills. Speaking of football, on my bicycle ride into work. It's interesting to ride my bike to work on Saturdays because that's the day that all the yuppies, all the affluent people in the suburbs go out on their Saturday bicycle rides. They get all in their spandex outfits and their $6,000 bicycles and go for a Saturday cruise. Because otherwise they're in a cubicle 9 to 5 or doing whatever the fuck they do Monday through Friday. So you see all these people out on Saturdays, but typically they're dickheads. I've never made any friends out on the bike trails in the road. You know, if you were out in the mountain bike, see the thing, mountain biking and road cycling are so different. If you're out in the woods on a mountain bike and you come across another group of mountain bikers, and they're going to be like, hey, what's up? And you're all going to stop and start talking. Oh, yeah, it's a nice bike you got there. Oh, yeah. Or if you're riding some old beat-up, like, mountain bike with no shocks, like, say it's like the original Specialized stump jumper, instead of, like, people looking at you like, pfft, you know, and giving you that snobby-ass talk-to-the-hand shit, the mountain bikers are going to be like, oh my God, that's so fucking cool. That's like the original stump jumper. That bike's like 30 years old. Holy fuck. And then if you can keep up with them and shred on a mountain bike with no shocks, you're a fucking badass motherfucker. But, you know, and if you run into other mountain bikers out on the trail, they're going to be, here, man, you want to smoke a bowl? It's like everybody's going to be really fucking cool with you. You meet other road bicyclists out on the road, and it's like, look at that, your bike, it didn't cost $6,000 like mine. You know, and that's how they are. They're just a bunch of snobby fucking dicks. And it's always been like that. Always been like that. I've been riding bicycles competitively since I was like 15, years old. And as soon as you start mingling with other bicyclists in a big group, I really didn't like cycling I liked the sport and I love riding my bike, but I really didn't like anybody I was meeting when I started bike racing until I got into mountain biking, and I'm like, this is a whole different club. This is like a whole different thing. Completely fun. We're on bicycles, and that's about where it stops. That's where it just goes two separate ways from there. Road bicyclists, assholes. Mountain bikers, cool motherfuckers. That's pretty much how it goes. I mean, tell me I'm wrong if you know better. So anyway, I'm riding my bike in. I'm on the bike trail, and I was taking it easy yesterday. I really wasn't keeping up a good average speed. I was just listening to the music, and I was just putting one foot in front of the other, just trying to get there. I wasn't feeling good. And by not feeling good, I didn't mean sick. I just wasn't feeling like pushing myself to go fast. Somebody goes flying by me on the bike trail, and my competitive nature means, fuck, now I gotta keep up with this guy. So I get behind him, and I'm not too far behind him, but I'm close enough to where he can hear my music coming out the speakers. And I notice he's in his spandex outfit head to toe, and at first I thought he was like U.S. Postal or something, like, you know, like Lance Armstrong's old outfit or something like that. And I look and I'm like, holy shit, he's wearing a fucking Buffalo Bills cycling kit. He's got the big giant Buffalo Bill on the back of the fucking thing, the big buffalo on the back of his jersey. And I'm like, no shit. I'm here in fucking Houston and some dude's rocking the Buffalo Bills jersey. So I stayed behind him. We get to the part of the bike trail where there's a steep little riser. I can't call it a hill because there's no hills in Houston, but it takes about 30 seconds to get from the bottom to the top. And then it flattens out again. I don't know any other way to describe it. It's the closest thing to a hill on my way to and from work. Well, I figure I'm staying with him pace-wise. We get to that little hill. He doesn't even get out of his saddle. He's sitting down the whole time. I get up and actually try, and he's further ahead as I get to the top of the hill. I'm like, shit. And then turns out that's the fastest I ever went up the hill. So according to Strava. And so I still couldn't keep up with the dude. And I've gone up and down this little hill 150 times this year, at least. So anyway, we get to the end of the bike trail, and of course he slows down to pull into the parking lot where all the cars are, because you never see anybody go past the end of the bike trail and continue on the roads. And so as I'm going by, I'm like, go Bills! And I'm like, and he's like, yeah. Or he seemed like a cool dude. I mean, he's wearing a fucking Buffalo Bills cycling outfit. So he's not pretending to be on some bike team, or, he's not wearing like the UAE Emirates fucking cycling kit that Tadej Pogacar is wearing in the Tour de France, or any of the other cycling teams, and just being an ad for some fucking company that nobody even knows what the company is. Like when they changed Heinz Field in Pittsburgh, everybody knows what Heinz is. The whole fucking stadium had ketchup bottles, big giant light up ketchup bottles and shit like that, and the whole fucking stadium was built to look like Heinz ketchup. And so it was Heinz Field. And then they decided they didn't want to pay for it anymore, and now it's Acrisure Stadium. I guarantee you there's nobody in the city of Pittsburgh that even knows what the fucking Acrisure is. Nobody knows. I don't know, and nobody fucking knows. What is it? Why the fuck how did they even have enough money to buy a stadium name when nobody even knows what the fuck they are? So, whatever. It just sounds like some dumbass shit like some fucking Dr. Fauci, some fucking thing for Dr. Fauci to give you a new shot. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Don't give a fuck. You can tell me in the comments, and I'm still not going to give a fuck, and I won't even remember tomorrow if you tell me what it is today. So, it's stupid. Who cares? Those are pretty much every jersey in the sport of cycling is just a bunch of shit nobody cares about, a bunch of brands, and like US Postal's the only one I remember because it's the fucking post office. And like Lance Armstrong raced for the post office. The post office, I don't understand why the post office would even sponsor racing, because being fast is not their priority. They're doing everything they can to not get your shit to your house fast. But we'll sponsor the fastest doping bike racer that ever lived. All right. So, but anyway, he's rocking the Buffalo Bills jersey, and I'm like, all right, this guy might not be a douche. So I was like, go Bills. And then I'm like, shit. Afterward, he said something back. We were in passing. He was turning around, going the other way. And I'm like, shit, I should have been like, Bills Mafia. Or I don't even know what the other, like, what the other sayings would be. And I grew up, Buffalo used to be, you know, where I lived. That was the football team. Western New York, Buffalo Bills. Watched them motherfuckers lose 4 Super Bowls in a row when I was in high school. Can't beat it. Wow, he's on the Bills now. Wow, Trubisky, the shitty quarterback that was terrible in Pittsburgh, is now a backup quarterback for the Buffalo Bills. Huh. No kidding. It just popped up in Google while I was looking up Josh Allen's name. But yeah, I don't give a shit about it enough that I don't even know their names for the most part. I know, hold on. No, I don't know. Aaron Rodgers. I wanted to say Mike Rodgers. I don't fucking know. Like, Aaron Rodgers, the only reason I even knew his last name was because he was against the vaccine and calling it a bunch of bullshit. And then now all the Democrats hate him and love it when he can't play football good because he was an anti-vaxxer. And I'm like, you're an anti-vaxxer? You're cool. I don't give a fuck. That's the only... You're cool. And now he's on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Cool. I don't know. I doubt they're going to do much this year. He's an old man. I mean, he's on his way out. If he does bad this year, this will be pretty, I could see this being his last year as a football player. We'll see how it goes. I'd love to see them win the Super Bowl with the anti-vaxxer quarterback at the helm. I'd like to see the Steelers win another Super Bowl anyway. So if I'm rooting for a team, it's going to be Pittsburgh at the top. I'll root for Buffalo, but if they go to the Super Bowl and lose, I'll be like, ha ha, because I don't like the city of Buffalo very much at all. But if they win, good for you. Good for you. I'm not going to really... I'll cheer for the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl, but if they start getting their ass kicked, I'll laugh, and I won't be sad. I'll just be like, wah, wah. So, that was a lot of football talk when I was supposed to talk about the Tour de France. So, I can't keep up. They're so fast, I can't even keep up with them when I'm watching it on TV. I'm on stage 9. They're on stage 14. But stage 9 was a flat stage, kind of boring, so I'm like scrolling on my phone and just kind of like reading stuff and, oh wow, look at that, and back to my phone. And so I'm not like staring at the TV like a zombie, but I'm not like leaving it on in the background because then I won't pay attention to anything. So it's kind of like, instead of watching Star Wars for the next month, I'll be watching that. But right at the drop of the flag at the start of the race for stage 9. And by the way, I'm not giving you the up to the minute Tour de France knowledge and commentary and late breaking news right after things happen, blah, blah, blah. I'm watching the fucking thing 5 days after the thing and then putting a video up on YouTube about the thing a week later. So you're getting like a 2-week delay between when the thing happened and my commentary about the thing. So, it is what it is. I'm just going to give you some different information than what you're going to get from watching it on TV. But in stage 9, it was interesting because right at the flag drop, they do what's called a rolling start in a lot of cycling races, where they'll start somewhere, but there'll be a pace car up front. And everybody rides as a group, but they're not allowed to go past the pace car. And there's a reason for that, because if they started at a start line and you've got 170 something riders all clipping into their pedals and just taking off all at once, it's chaos. It's total fucking chaos. And there's probably going to be crashes, and there's going to be people getting fucked over because they were stuck at the back. And, just all kinds of shit's going to go wrong. And then people who can clip into their pedals the fastest and get going, they'll get a huge advantage. So then everybody's going to be fighting to be up at the front of the group. It's a mess. It's an absolute mess. And now I'm sure there are races like that, like Le Mans, one of the most famous auto races. The drivers, there's a pole position and it goes all the way back. But one of the traditions of Le Mans is that all the racers have to start away from their cars. And then they have to run across the fucking track, get in their fucking car, start the car, and then go. And it's fucking chaos. It's chaos. So you could have the pole position in Le Mans from your qualifying laps, but if you can't run fast, your track and field ability comes into play. And if your door handle gets stuck or some shit like that, or the key doesn't work, however you start the car now, and whatever, you can end up way in the back from a bad start. Where Formula One, they do a warm-up lap, they go to the line, they park in their little spot, and then the light turns green and they're off. Other auto races will have a rolling start where there's a pace car and they do a couple of warm-up laps. The car pulls into pit road and boom, it's gone. Everybody's gas pedal to the floor. So in the cycling world, the Tour de France, typically in a stage group ride, it's like a group ride to a start line that's usually 5 kilometers, 7 kilometers from the start line. And then the pace car just gas pedal to the floor and gets out of the fucking way, and the riders can do whatever they feel like doing. And you never really know what's going to happen. Sometimes the riders just chill and nobody goes, and they're just they're still in their group ride, and they'll be like, fuck it, we'll go another 20K before we start racing today, and we'll just shoot the shit. We're busy having a conversation back here. We don't want to race right now. And then maybe or sometimes, like in stage 9, this dude Vanderpool, he's like, see ya! And he just fucking goes. Well, his teammate goes, and then Vanderpool was like, fuck it, I'm out of here too. And he goes up and catches up to his teammate, and they take the fuck off. Right at the start line. And but everybody's like, they're gonna get caught. Who cares? Whatever, this is flat. When you've got the peloton going, 37 miles an hour without any effort, and you got these two guys, they got up to a minute ahead. There's only a minute gap. 2 riders by themselves can't go faster than an angry mob of bicyclists in a group. They can't. It's physically, the physical limitations of wind and everything. It's just riding in a group is way faster than riding by yourself. And so But, it's not unheard of. But yeah, when I started watching stage 9, I was 4 stages behind. Then I ended up 5 stages behind the race, and now I think I got back to being 4 stages, then 5 stages. I might even be 6 stages behind at this point. I don't know. I just fall behind day after day. They get another rest day. I don't even know when the rest day is, and the rest day will allow me to catch up a little bit. But right as of last night, I estimated I would need like 36 hours of nonstop sitting in front of the TV watching this shit just to get caught up to where they are today, right now. And then in France, the race starts around noon-ish, 11, 12 o'clock. It starts right at the middle of the day, and usually the stage wraps up around 4 or 5 o'clock, somewhere in there, French time. So here in America, you got to get up at like 5:30 if you want to watch the race live. And then each day's stage ends around 11 a.m. And, but anyway, so this guy Vanderpool, he's 4th overall, and they're just letting him go. They're like, fuck it, we don't care. And it's because he's not a mountains guy, and they haven't gone to the mountains yet. And so the mountains begin on stage 10. And those aren't even the big mountains, but we'll get there. He's 4th overall, but when they go to the mountains, he's not going to be able to climb. So they don't care. They're just like, let him go. And he's not really a sprinter either, and he's not in that green jersey contest. So the sprinters were like, fuck it, let him go. Who cares? It wouldn't be impossible for him to... He's in 4th place overall right now, so he's not a chump, but he won't be in 4th place by the time the whole Tour de France is over. And this dude, Milan, has such a lead now in this green jersey contest. It's not going to happen. I don't see how they're going to get the green jersey off this guy's back for the rest of this Tour de France. He even got docked 10 points for bumping elbows with the other riders in a sprint. Even though, that's what they fucking do. They're trying to turn... They're trying to make racing in general, whether it's auto racing, bike racing, whatever, they're trying to turn it into golf because they're just trying to make everything so sanitized, and so that there's no more danger, and so that nobody ever gets hurt. And it's like, you're gonna completely... It's a dangerous thing. That's why we call it racing instead of boring. But Vanderpool, if he can get out ahead of the peloton, if he can win in stage 9 and be far enough ahead, he'll put on the yellow jersey again for a day. Cash and prizes and all that goes with it. And he's already worn it during the Tour de France. But eventually that breakaway got up to 4 minutes. They were 4 minutes ahead of the peloton on this flat stage. And and these guys, they're going like, they're averaging between 30 and 35 miles an hour average speed all day long. 81 miles away from the finish line, there was a pretty big crash. It was bad enough that they showed close-ups of one of the cyclists. I don't even know his name, but he was crying. He was bawling. He had tears going down his face. He was like, "Aah!" Like on his bike, trying to catch back up to the peloton after he got back up on his bike after the crash. And here at the same time, those 2 riders in the breakaway were 5 minutes ahead of the peloton. But I've seen races where the breakaways will get 10, 12 minutes ahead of the peloton during a bike race, And then when the riders in the peloton are like, all right, it's time to go to work, they'll catch those motherfuckers before the finish line. And they're so scientific about it now that they'll catch up to the rider right at the finish line. Like, it's crazy how scientific they can be about when to start trying to catch up and when to catch these people that break away. And they will catch them at the last possible minute. But while the boring parts of the race are going on, where there's nothing happening, they'll go on like side stories and they'll tell you different things, or they'll fly over something in France like a castle and tell you what the fucking castle was and when it was built. And, you know, they just fill in the gaps with fun facts. And so there's a whole story about how Lance Armstrong was so worried about one of his rivals in the Tour de France that he hired the guy to ride on his team for US Postal, because your entire team is there to help you win. So he hired one of his rivals to come be on his team just to keep him from being somebody that would be out to get him in the race. And then Lance, when they were getting their blood transfusions to cheat the next day, they didn't give him his bag of blood. They're like, you don't get one. So he hired the guy to be on his team, and then he didn't let him get his bag of blood for the blood transfusion before the mountain stage, so that he wouldn't be able to catch up to Lance and beat Lance on the mountain stage the next day. Like, that's some fucking dirty, dirty shit right there, man. You don't get a bag of blood today. Sorry, Holmes. Well, we lost it. It fell off the back of the motorcycle or whatever the fuck. That was the whole plan all along. He was like, this fucking guy could beat me in the mountains, so I'm going to hire him to be on my team. And just to make sure that he doesn't do some underhanded shit like drop me on the mountain stage, I'm not going to let him have a bag of blood the day before. Haha. So, and then like another dirty deed Lance would do is anytime a team would do really well in a race leading up to the Tour de France, like where the whole team just outperforms all the other teams and all the teams are doping, so it wasn't a big deal. Lance would just like call in to the UCI and he would get other people to leave like random tips and anonymous tips and whatever, but he would organize and orchestrate calling in and ratting out to the UCI saying, hey, I think this team is, I think they need to be tested. It's pretty obvious that, or I heard that this team is juicing up and whatever. And he would get teams kicked out of the Grand Tour, the whole season of cycling, not just the Tour de France. He would get teams expelled from the sport by ratting them out and getting them investigated by anonymous tips or just going up to his buddies in the organization itself and being like, that team over there, I think they're juicing up. You should take a look at that. So he had a lot of pull, and these are just one example after the next about what a fucking dickbag this guy was. And I keep saying, I'm like, he didn't get in trouble because he cheated. He got in trouble because he was such a dick that everybody in the sport and associated with the sport finally had enough of him. So they're like, oh, that's how you're going to be Lance. All right, well, you fucked around. Now you're going to find out. Here's what's happening. And so they dragged him out onto Oprah Winfrey's couch and made him confess to everybody and, tried to embarrass the fuck out of him. So, his consolation prize is he gets to keep all his money. He gets to live in the mansion. He gets to, bang porn stars, whatever the fuck he wants to do. He's driving around in nice cars, nice bikes. He's probably still getting free bikes. He probably gets 20 or 30 free bicycles that each cost 10 grand every year. Because bike companies want him riding their bikes around town so that they get their free advertising. So he's probably getting free mountain bikes, free road bikes. He's probably getting time trial bikes for free, even though he's banned from racing for the rest of his fucking life. he probably gets more free bicycles every year than you could afford to buy in your lifetime. Even though he can't race again. So he's not doing bad. He's just a dick. And people were like, you know what? We were going to let you get away with it to save the integrity of the sport or whatever, but now you've gone too far, Lance. We're fucking you. We're calling it in. We're calling back the loan. I already talked about how he threatened to sue Greg LeMond, who is the only American now to ever win the Tour de France. And Lance actually got Trek, who is his sponsor, and who also owned Greg LeMond's bicycle company. He got Trek to fucking bankrupt Greg LeMond and ruin his bicycle company because he was mad that Greg LeMond insinuated that he might have cheated. And so this guy is a fucking dickhead. And he just, you can see it when he does interviews and stuff like that. He definitely doesn't give a fuck about the fact that he cheated. But he knows. In his defense, he knows that the only reason he won the Tour de France is because he was the best cheater, and if it wasn't him, it was just going to be somebody else, so why the fuck not? I get it. I mean, I've already said a million times I would cheat all day, and I would try to find 30 different ways to do it. Whatever it takes. Greg LeMond's making e-bikes now. He's making very high-end electric bikes now. That's what his company shifted to. He's even got a really, really nice road racing bike with a motor, an e-bike, for about $7,000. And in eco mode, it has a range of like 90 miles. This would be the perfect bike for me to go back and forth to the bakery on. For $7,000, that would take me 10 years to pay it back on my bakery wages, but I would love to rock that bike. So, Greg, anybody, you wanna get some unbiased reviews of the Greg LeMond top of the line, I forget the name of it, my bad, but the 28-pound road racing bike with the 90-mile range in eco mode. I don't know what sport mode does. I would love to rock that bike, go back and forth to work. The only drawback that I could see, I looked at some reviews of this thing. The only drawback that I could see on Greg's bike is that the battery would be a nightmare to replace. It's full of like hidden wires and special tools, and it's tucked up into the frame, and you basically got to disassemble the bike and go through a lot of hassle to get that battery out and then replace the battery and put it back in. Where like the specialized turbo that I was interested in potentially, which is basically a regular commuter bike. It's a commuter setup, but it's a real bicycle with a motor and a battery. The battery just pops off the frame. And then you buy a new battery, put it back on. You're good to go, that fast. You can take the battery off the bike so that you can take it into your office with you and plug it in and charge it for your ride home. You can store your bicycle in the garage, but you can take the battery off and plug it into a thing in your house to charge it. So that was a drawback. It would have been nice to see an integrated battery in the frame that the actual owner can take on and off, because when the battery eventually will go bad and you'll have a perfectly good bicycle, and now you've got to spend 2 days of your life, and like you got to be really good at what you're doing as a mechanic to get that battery changed, or you're going to have to go to a bicycle shop and pay $2,000 to get the battery changed in your $6,000, $7,000 bike. But otherwise, fuck, that seems like a nice bike. And I don't even see, like, why can't e-bike racing be its own sport? Why not, like, have the e-Tour de France, the Tour de France, or Tour e France? I don't know what the name would be, but maybe the Tour E France. Think about it, guys. I don't know. I mean, come up with something. They have a women's Tour de France where it's just the chicks, but it's like 6 days instead of 21 days, and nobody watches it. It's kind of like the WNBA of bicycling. But they're not, as far as I'm aware, they're not running around screaming and yelling that they got to make as much money as an NBA player, even though nobody buys tickets to go see their games. They're just happy to be out riding their bikes with a fancy jersey that has somebody's logo on it that's paying them. Good for them. People in France will still be on the side of the road, but it's more like they're not going there. I'll probably watch it because I have a free subscription to Peacock. But anyway, why can't e-bike racing be a sport? I mean, there's so many factors that would make e-bike racing difficult and strategic, and people will be like, yeah, they're a bunch of pussies riding electric bikes. You're still probably going to expend the same amount of energy as a regular bicycle, but the speeds would be higher, and the factors of like the technical factors, like, okay, you can set your Greg LeMond road racing bike to have a range of 90 miles, but it only gives you a boost to your own energy. It's pedal assisted. So, okay, let's just say, but like the race that day might be 130 to 150 miles. What are you going to do for the rest of those miles? So now you've got to decide. Do you use the boost, your motor boost at the beginning of the race, and now you've got to lug this 30-pound bicycle to the finish line that has no battery power left? Or like maybe there's a rule. You don't get more than one battery. Whatever you got, you got. But, I mean, they do change bicycles. I don't know. There's a lot of strategy that could come into play. Let's say you have an e-bike that can go 70 miles an hour on a flat road, but it has a range of 30 miles, and the stage is 150 miles that day, 120 miles that day. So for 30 miles, you can boost. So when do you use it? You use it at the beginning, get way ahead of everybody, and then fight to get to the finish line? Or do you save it until you're 30 miles from the end and then crank on the juice? Like, there's so many, that could be a strategy. The Greg LeMond bike has a 250 watt hub, pedal assisted. It gives you an extra 20 miles an hour, but there's all kinds of governors and limiters on it, at least electronically in the software, that will limit the boost to 20 miles. Once you're going above 20 miles an hour, I think the boost shuts off. So for that particular bike, out of the box, you can use the boost to go up hills. Anytime your pedaling gets strained and your average speed goes down below 20, the bike is going to help you stay going 20 miles an hour. And if you can zip downhill faster than that, the motor's just going to shut off and wait until it needs to be kicked on again. But, I mean, that's still pretty good because, I mean, if you're in a hilly area like Pittsburgh, for example, and you can crank up every hill at 20 miles an hour and then go downhill at 30, 35 miles an hour, you're still going to get a fast time to go home. So, like, there was another crash in stage 9. This guy, George Zimmerman, crashed, hit the road. The whole front of his fucking jersey pretty much gone. His shorts were gone. Like, he just had the little straps at the bottom of the shorts, and otherwise his legs were just ripped open, raw meat. Just straight up. Both of the front of his legs were just raw hamburger meat. And he gets back on his bike. He's like, fuck it, gotta go. There's no timeout. It's not like football where all these pussies have to stop playing the game and they call the doctor out on the field and they get like a half-hour break while they're looking at his ankle and then, can he get up and walk or do we got to bring a stretcher out and blah, blah, blah. In cycling, if you go over your handlebars and hit the deck, fucking shit just keeps on keeping on. And you either have to get back on your bike and fucking go, or eventually there's a literal bus at the back of the race. And if you fall back to where if you get back to where the bus is, you're out of the race. You're disqualified. And it's like one of those, it's probably like one of those, I don't know, have you ever seen those limo buses? Like the short buses that drive people around the cities and stuff. It's probably a nice, comfortable limousine bus style thing because there aren't that many people dropping it on a daily basis. It's not like a fucking school bus. They should make it like a big yellow school bus, like an old school bus from the 80s where you can smell the gasoline and there's no padding on the seats and all that, and it's bouncing over every fucking bump and whatever, but there's probably a bottle of champagne and some comfortable seats and a disco ball at the top or whatever. And sorry, but no, man, cycling is just fuck the week. Leave them on the side of the road. We're going. And when you're laying there bleeding out on the side of the road, the team cars are honking at you. Get the fuck out of the way, you fucking loser. And they're just going and going and going and going. They don't give a fuck about you. You're in a ditch with 3 broken ribs and a broken arm bleeding out all over the place. See ya! That's cycling. That's bike racing right there. They don't give a fuck about you. We're going. We're not stopping. Another random thing, they show a lot of random stuff on the side of the road and talk about it. The helicopter showed a big old field full of solar panels. And once again, I'm like, as I see this all over the place now, why are they taking away our fields and farms to make them into solar panel farms? Why the fuck can't they go and cover Walmart parking lots with solar panels and turn that into a solar panel farm? Walmart could power all of their fucking stores. If they want to, like Target. Target's always talking about being the eco company and all that fucking bullshit. Why can't Target power their stores by covering the parking lots with solar panels? How many things would this accomplish? You could power the store. You'd probably generate enough power to put power back into the grid and get paid for it. You would provide power for all the eco cars and all the eco people that shop at Target in their electric cars. You'd provide cover in the parking lot. So if it's raining or if it's really, really hot and the sun's baking down, the customers' cars will be in the shade. So they won't be 175 degrees when they open. If somebody leaves their fucking dog in the car, it might not die. You know what I mean? Like, shit like that. There's so many benefits. And then we could use these fields to grow our fucking food. We got starving people all over the fucking world that can't get any food. And we're taking our farm fields and saying, fuck those people. We're going to put up solar panels. Haha. Right? What the fuck is this? But then we got these fucking gargantuan parking lots all over the fucking place. Target, Walmart, Boxmart, Best Buy, shopping malls. Everywhere in America you go, it's just sprawling fucking parking lots. Big open parking lots everywhere with no solar panels. What the fuck? I mean, how are they not doing this? I don't understand that shit at all. So anyway, there's some commentary from the Tour de France you didn't get anywhere else. Another dude, okay, the dude, I was talking about a guy, his name was Almeida. It's one of Pogacar's teammates. He dropped out of the race on stage 9 with 50 miles left to go. Turns out riding a bike with a broken rib from a crash yesterday hurts. Dude's riding, he's like, fuck it, it's just a broken rib, I'm good. But, you know, he was thinking, well, I'll probably be able to recover tomorrow. It's a flat stage. I'm not going to have to work that hard. So maybe my broken rib will heal enough in one day that when we get to the mountains, I might be able to keep going. And then as soon as 2 fucking riders just bang off the front of the peloton, as soon as the flag drops, as soon as the flag is like, go, they're gone. Like that, right off the bat. They just took the fuck off. Everybody's still drinking their coffee and reading their Sunday paper, and they're like, what the fuck are you doing? And they're gone. They're gone. And so now the dude with the broken rib, he's getting fucking banged on all day long because now they got to keep up with these 2 riders that just took the fuck off, because if they don't, that rider in the breakaway, he's in 4th place. He might end up with a 15-minute lead on the rest of the race, and he'll win the Tour de France for that shit. So they can't let him go too far ahead. So the dude with the broken rib, he was like, I'm out. He tapped out. It's the Squid Game. It's just like the Squid Game. If you're laying on the fucking side of the road because you crashed or you fell too far behind or whatever, I mean, we're one step away from a guy in a jumpsuit with a black mask and a logo from the PlayStation controller comes up and pops you in the fucking head and carries off your body to some, you know, to get your organs harvested for the black market. So you're like, we're like 10 years away from that. But it's almost like the Squid Games. When you fall out of the Tour de France, there's no like, let's stop the game. And like that dude that dropped on the field from the Buffalo Bills because he was fully vaccinated and got his Dr. Fauci booster the other day, and all of a sudden he just stops and fucking collapses from a heart attack, and everybody thought he just died. They stopped the fucking game and they didn't even finish the game. Bunch of fucking pussies. If that happened in a bike race, they'd have just left him on the side of the fucking road and kept going. Fucking. Oh, yeah, it sucks, but, you know, we gotta do it. We gotta win this race. So, football's a fucking pussy sport. They're all covered from head to toe. Helmets, shoulder pads, chest pads, knee pads, thigh pads, ankle pads. Fucking every part of their body is protected from getting hurt. Cyclists in the Tour de France had to be forced to wear helmets at some point in like the 90s. They're like, all right, guys, you have to wear a fucking helmet. They're like, come on, fuck. It'll be more aerodynamic. Well, okay, all right. I can wear it for that reason, but I don't want to be a pussy. And it's hot. It's in the middle of July. I don't want to wear a fucking helmet. That's how they were. Going up the mountains in the Alps, you're not going that fast. You're going like, 9 miles an hour. If you fall off your bike, it's probably not that big a deal. You get back on, you keep going. But when you go down the other side of the mountain, you might be going like 70 miles an hour at some point down a fucking mountain, and you go off the fucking road and you're not wearing a helmet and you hit your head on a fucking rock. Lights out. Lights out. It's over. Game over. And then all the bikers are just going to be like, just taking a little glance off to the side of the road. Oh, he's out. They don't give a fuck. They're going. Hockey and bicycling. I remember when they started making hockey goalies wear a face mask, and the goalies were like, come on! They were mad about it. Like they fucking goalies in hockey, they didn't want to wear a helmet, they didn't wear masks in the NHL. They're getting bashed in the face with a fucking hockey puck at 300 miles an hour from a slap shot. Their whole skulls crushed in. They don't have any more teeth of their own. They're all fake teeth that they just have to replace at the end of each season. And they're like, no, I don't want to wear. I'm not a pussy. I don't want to wear a face mask. And so the face mask started out as like, Jason Voorhees face mask, where it's just there for show, but it doesn't actually protect anything. It's just there to look cool. And now we've got these full face shield things that you could fucking bang a hockey puck out of a shotgun and it wouldn't hit the hockey player in the face, and it's all padded and they'd be just fine. But yeah, I mean, cycling's a bitch. You crash on a bike going 70 miles an hour down a mountain and you're just wearing spandex, no pads. You're forced to wear a fucking helmet. You'll be disqualified now if you don't. That's all you got. I mean, the chances of you living through a crash like that are still slim to none. People die in these races. But anyway, so far in the Tour de France, as of stage 9 riders out of the race. That's 1 casualty per day. 9 days of racing. And but this guy, the one who just tapped out with the broken rib, came in 4th in last year's Tour de France, and he was a supporting teammate of Pogacar. So he's not really allowed to go win shit. If you are hired for a team to support the team star, then you're not allowed to beat that person on your team, even if you're better. But it's an individual sport. And so it actually does happen from time to time, where a teammate will be like, fuck this guy, I'm going to get it for myself. And then that causes a lot of drama. The team gets pissed. You become enemies with your own teammates, and they'll try to undermine you and whatnot. But if you're truly better, fuck them. You can say fuck them. You can say fuck my team, I'm going to win. That's happened before. It's a beautiful sport. It really is. It's a dirty, fucking dangerous, beautiful thing to watch, and I love it. But eventually they'll ruin it, like everything else. They like to ruin everything these days. The Peloton doesn't stop outside of the cafe in town and run in and steal all the liquor bottles off the shelf, throw them in the back of their jersey pockets, get back on their bike, and get the fuck out of town before the cops come. But the race got so crazy on stage 9. I keep saying yesterday, because to me it was yesterday. The Peloton broke apart 45 miles from the finish because the people up front were going so hard, and they were just making it super, super hard to stay as a group. But it closed up. The Peloton finally got back together. The people at the front tried to break up with the rest of them, but they got back together for a while and decided, well, I guess, all right, we're just going to have to work together for a while longer. And but the breakaway got up to like 5 minutes, beyond 5 minutes ahead. The guy in the breakaway was in the lead of the Tour de France, but he would have had to cross the finish line 2 minutes ahead to put the yellow jersey back on. What was it? Like 30 seconds. The Peloton finally got to work, and they got the breakaway pulled back to like 30 seconds. So now the guy up front, the guy up front was 30 seconds ahead, and it wasn't looking good. And this is how it normally happens in a race like that, especially when it's flat. All the sprinters are in that front group getting ready to power down when they're about a kilometer from the finish line. And all the yellow jersey contenders are in that group because that's all they have to do for the day is just stay with each other. But that dude, Vanderpool, was still fighting 7 miles from the finish line. He's still hammering. He's still like trying to win for the day. He started out the day as soon as the flag dropped. He took the fuck off. So now he's riding 110 miles already by himself the whole day. He was probably like, you know what, fuck you guys. They were probably making fun of him or something, and he was like, you know what, screw you guys. I don't want to be with you today. I'm going to play by myself. And he just takes off so he can spend some quality time with his own thoughts and just enjoy the scenery without having to deal with all these douchebags all day. But he was really going for it. He was really trying to beat them. 600 meters from the finish line, he got caught by the main group. So he just went almost 100 and something miles all by himself ahead of the race all day long. 600 meters from the finish line, he got caught. It was that close. But that's how scientific these riders are now, with their computers and their GPS and their team cars and their radio communications and everything. They're constantly, they know exactly how fast they have to go and when to turn on the gas, and that's how it goes. Like, they will catch somebody who's 10 minutes ahead of the group 500 meters from the finish line, and they'll plan it 2 hours ago. They'll be like, when you get to this point, you got to turn on the gas, you got to go this fast, you'll be able to catch them. And so it's that person up front, they're basically fighting for their life. Like, Vanderpool was riding his bike like it was the Squid Games, and if he doesn't cross the line first, he's getting a bullet in the fucking head. But he still couldn't do it. I mean, he got edged out. Well, he got once that train of sprinters comes barreling down nobody's going to be able to beat the sprinters. The sprinters are basically, when you watch the Olympics and you ever see the track cycling events where they're just on the velodrome, on the oval, on their track bikes, those guys are the ones that go to the Tour de France and become the sprinters. So Tadej Pogacar and the hill climbers and all of them, they can't go to the Olympics and ride on the track. They're not fast enough. They're not strong enough to do that track shit. But the guys that do the track cycling, they don't have the endurance to win the Tour de France. They don't have that long, multi-day being able to suffer for 21 days. That's why the sprinters compete for their own shit in the Tour de France. If it's a flat stage, those sprinters are going to fuck everybody up at the end of the race. Don't even try to catch up to them because they're going to be going like fucking 40, 50 miles an hour on a flat road. Just like just on, like you just fucking juiced them up with some super steroid a kilometer from the finish line, and you're like, what the fuck just happened? Like a superhero. Like what's the one superhero that had a button he could push and it would like juice him up with a bunch of shit, and all of a sudden he's like the Incredible Hulk out of nowhere. But it would only last for a little while, and then he's back to being Bruce Banner. So it's kind of like that. These guys can't climb up hills. Soon as there's a mountain to go up, they're like half an hour behind the rest of the pack, just hoping that the bus doesn't show up to pick them up and kick them out of the race. They're not even trying to keep up at that point. They're just saving themselves for another day where they can sprint. So Milan almost got first place in the sprint. He's only won one stage, even though he's got the green jersey, but he's been a sprint machine, and so he'll still get lots of points for coming in second place. But this guy, Tim Melier, now has 2 stage wins. And every time it's between this guy, Milan, and Melier beats him every time. And they're saying it's because when Milan sprints, he gets up off his bike and he starts doing this shit with his head, and you watch him sprint and his head is just bobbing all over. He's just like bouncing his head like he's at a fucking Pantera concert, and it's fucking and it's just like, and they've done because these teams have millions of dollars. They've done wind tunnel studies on this guy, and when he starts banging his head like he's at a fucking metal concert, he loses time. He loses like a whole bike length across 1,000 meters for banging his head when he rides his bike. If he would just hold his head still and let his aerodynamic helmet do its job and shit, he would win every sprint. But then he starts getting into this fucking head banging thing, and this other sprinter beats him. But it's a bike length, and a bike length, most of these sprint finishes are like half a wheel length or a photo finish when they come to the line. And so this guy's banging his head every time he rides his bike, and they've done professional studies on this. He loses a fucking bike length of speed to the other riders when he starts getting out of his seat and banging his head like that. But he says he can't help it because it's just like, it's ingrained into his soul when he gets up, and he's going so fast and so hard. It's like, it's like he took a shot. It's like he pushed a button and got injected with some steroid for 1,000 feet. And, there's nothing he can do. He really can't, get himself to stop doing it. But this is his first Tour de France, so maybe he'll look back and he'll be like, here's 3 more stages I could have won if I would have stopped banging my fucking head around while I ride. Maybe he'll get some sort of special brace that he can wear that keeps his head, or something on his helmet that gently reminds him, hey, don't bang your head, don't bang your head, don't bang your head. But he might not be able to go as fast because it's just, you get into that rhythm with your body and it might not feel natural to him. I don't know, but these guys fucking go fast. They went over 100 miles in 3 hours and 28 minutes. And it's the second fastest stage in the history of the Tour de France. That was stage 9. So I could talk about stage 10 and some other stuff, but I'm still watching stage 10, and it's probably been a while that I've recorded this video, and I'm already way past wanting to. I got to work on my bicycles today, and I got to do some other stuff. And I gotta try and get my silver bullet bike to be, I gotta get my silver bullet down, and there's not a lot of things I have to do to it. I can easily get that bike done today. I gotta change the brake pads, and I gotta mount this thing on my handlebars that'll allow me to use a GPS watch. Not this Garmin watch, but a different Garmin watch. It'll allow me to put it on the handlebars tightly, and then that'll be my cycling computer when I'm on that bike. I'm not using it for anything else, so I may as well use it. It's just one of the random things that made it back into my hands after the FBI raided my house. So I may as well use the thing. I also need to put a bell on my handlebars, as when you're going through the woodlands, when you're on these bicycle trails, people crowd, they don't make room for people to go by them. And so it's a lot nicer to just be like, on my Red Rocket, I have a cheeseburger. It looks like a cheeseburger, but it's a bell. But it's a nice cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. It's loud. And so I don't have to yell. I don't have to be a dick. I can just be like, cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. And people hear it. And they look back 99 times out of 100, they'll get out of the way and let people on the bike go by. Every now and then, somebody's going to be a fucking dick, and then we're going to have a problem. but it's rare that and I don't give a fuck if you're like purposely just gonna not get out of the way, then I'm gonna purposely run into your ass or do something to you, or I'm gonna look and say, oh, there's a puddle right there, splash, see ya. Or I'll do something to be a total asshole if that's what you're gonna do. But not, like I said, 99 times out of 100, they hear the bell. They're like, oh, sorry. Okay, no problem. Thank you for letting me pass. You know, we're all polite. We know that this is a public space and we all have to share it and we can be respectful to each other. But if you're going to be a suburban douchebag who thinks that it's your bike trail and everybody else is just borrowing it from you, then we're going to have a problem. So I need to get that bike ready. The Red Rocket needs a clean up. I've been riding. My bicycle ride yesterday was in... Ever since I made that joke about this dude Dave coming at me when I said that Jesus likes me so much that he doesn't let me ride in the rain, I'm over 160 bike rides now, and my feet got wet twice. And Dave was like, what about the kids dying from cancer? Jesus doesn't love them. He doesn't love them. Why does he care about you so much? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know why. I'm not God. I can't put myself in his shoes, and he works in mysterious ways. He keeps me dry on every bike ride, yet he won't let me get a good job. So, you know, he's not really, you know, it is what it is. But now Dave must be praying for rain while I'm praying for dry skies, because every time I leave that bakery now to come home, the sky is fighting itself. Like yesterday, it started to rain right when I got on my bicycle. Not before, but as soon as I got on my bicycle and I started riding out of the parking lot, rain came down. And I'm like, okay, Dave, let's see how this goes. And I'm like, God, are you really going to let me ride home in the rain? Or is this just, you know, you got to work this out with Dave? And so it rained all the way to where I got my hair cut. But it was kind of like sprinkling rain. It was more like cooling me off so I wouldn't have to ride in the 95 degree heat. And it was just sprinkle rain. So I didn't get wet. But it was raining, and but then right before I get my hair cut, the rain stopped and the roads were dry. So I outpaced the cloud, basically. It was raining, but then I went far enough down the road and it wasn't raining, and I thought maybe I was going faster than the cloud, and so maybe the cloud would catch up to me, but it didn't. Got my hair cut, came back out. It was a little cloudy, but not really. But by the time I got to Whole Foods to make an Amazon return, the sun was coming out. And when I left Whole Foods, I had to put my sunglasses on because it was bright and sunny and almost no clouds all of a sudden. And it was bright and sunny all the way home. So once again, I don't count that one as riding in the rain. I only count when my feet get wet, which has happened twice. In 2025, here it's July 20th, and my feet got wet twice out of 100, and I'm closing in on 170 bike rides, forced bike rides where I don't get to choose when I ride. I have to ride for transportation, and my feet have gotten wet twice so far. And so, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it seems like God, my assumption that God's keeping my feet dry seems to be the case. I don't know why, but I'm fine with it. I ask for it, I pray for it, and I get my prayer answered. I also pray whenever I have a job interview for a 6-figure job that I'll get the job, and I still don't have a chance in hell. So I don't know. Dry feet, I guess, is a consolation prize. So anyway, yeah, I'll talk about stage 10. We're in the mountains now. Well, I'm in the mountains now. The tour doesn't have that much time. The tour's got like 7 days left. The tour ends next Sunday, and there's a day off. They get a day off somewhere in there. If they may have already had a day. I don't even know. No, I don't know. They haven't had a day off because I would have known. But they get another day off somewhere here in the mix. But there's another week left, and it's over. And then there'll be another week left of me trying to figure out who won. So we'll go from there. Hope you like the Tour de France commentary, the non-traditional version. They should hire me. NBC, they should hire me to sit next to Bob Roll and Phil Liggett. Phil Liggett's the guy who just constantly talks, right? Bob Roll is the side guy, the sidekick who sits there and interjects stuff here and there. But Phil Liggett's like old. The dude's like 80 years old. Something like it, somewhere around there. Everybody loves him. He's a nice guy. But, sometime he's not going to be able to do this forever. That's why they got Bob Roll queued up to be the next guy. But he's getting up there. Paul Shuren used to be the sidekick, and he's dead. He died back in like a while ago. So he could have taken over, but Phil Liggett he's probably gonna live another 10 years or more. He'll be 110 years old doing Tour de France commentary, and maybe I'll go my whole life and never hear somebody else be the Tour de France announcer. But they're planning his succession at this point. And Bob Roll, man, you look at him and he's getting up there. He's kind of like King Charles, just waiting for his fucking mom to die. Going, come on. When am I? And now that he's king, he's already fucking 80 years old. He's already like 70 years old himself or some shit. He finally gets to be king, but he ain't gonna be king that long. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of like that with the Tour de France commentators. But they kind of need a guy on the side of the side guy. Because Lance Armstrong will be up in there. They're queuing him up. But they got to do it carefully for public relations and all that. But Lance Armstrong's going to be on NBC, getting paid by NBC in a few years. But he's probably going to be there's a group of guys in a room, and they talk about the Tour de France whenever it's really boring, or when after the race, when they do the post-race commentary, they got that group of guys. But you need the comedy, you need the sidekick that can bring up the fun facts, like the Squid Games, how the Squid Games relates to the Tour de France, and all the different ways that you could possibly cheat. I could be that guy that does the research and then shows up with the 5-minute cameo appearance where he talks about, here's all the different ways they've cheated in the Tour de France since 1903. And just a whole thing, do a whole 10-minute, what do they call that, a montage or something like that? All the old black and white footage of the riders cheating, and then the riders running into the bar to grab bottles of wine, run back out, throw them in their jersey pockets. All that shit, all the fun shit. I could be the costume contest judge. I could be the guy, they have a daily contest with the announcers where they try to pick who's going to win every day. And then they give themselves points for how good they do picking the winners. Why don't I be the guy off to the side that does the costume contest judging? So all the costumes that we see on the side of the road, like the guy in the banana suit the other day, or there was a guy a couple years ago, he wore a Borat bathing suit, the yellow string bikini, and he chased after one of the bikers in a fucking yelling and screaming at the biker wearing a mankini. And I think he's banned from being on the side of the road at the Tour de France. But how the fuck do you enforce that? He's probably banned if he shows up in a yellow string bikini again. But if he comes up with a different costume, you can come up with a costume, nobody will know who the fuck you are. So I could be the costume contest judge for NBC at the Tour de France. There's like 50 other things I could do to give levity and other insight to the world of cycling that these former bike racers aren't going to be able to do. And so I'm your guy. Give me a call. With that, I'm just going to say peace out.